The Detroit Lions are potentially cooking up a monster of a deal, or they're about to make a bunch of insane moves. As you saw earlier this week, the Detroit Lions traded away Jeff Okuda to the Falcons for a 5th round pick. Now, there has been a substantial amount of hate regarding this trade going on around the league, but I'm not getting into that in this video. I'm going to make a separate video about that. First off, with the Okuda trade, I don't think anyone saw this coming. I definitely didn't see it coming. And honestly, I'm a little sad. I like Jeff Okuda. I'm kind of sad to see him be traded away because I felt like he was improving throughout last season. Now, it is true that Okuda never really lived up to his draft pick of being picked 3rd overall, but you got to remember that it was fat Matt Patricia that drafted Jeff Okuda. This wasn't one of Brad Holmes' picks. This also reminds me, I should make a video about Matt Patricia and how he brought the Lions back into rebuilding and just highlight everything he did wrong. As I'm making this video, I just watched some reactions to the Jeff Okuda trade, and nobody wants to mention that it was Patricia that drafted Okuda. I don't know, it's kind of annoying because everyone's saying that the Lions traded away a top 5 draft pick bust when it wasn't this Lions team that drafted him. I also think it's important to mention that sure, the Lions failed with Okuda, but they picked up Jerry Jacobs, top 5 in coverage rating for cornerbacks. And Jerry Jacobs was an undrafted free agent. Okay, so Patricia bombed on Okuda, but Holmes scored on Jacobs. Sets the stage even. So the first dangerous thing I want to mention about the Lions is they have 25 mil in cap space, and their practice squad and draft class is going to be about 16 mil. So they're going to have 10 mil to do whatever they want with. Brad Holmes has also built up a monster chunk of draft picks. 2 1st round picks, 2 2nd round picks, a 3rd round pick, 2 5th round picks, and 2 6th round picks. There's lots of talk of what the Lions might do with all their draft picks. They could potentially set up a huge trade to try to trade up in the draft for another 1st round pick. Who knows? Now, it doesn't look likely that the Lions will trade up from their 6th overall pick and go higher than that, but they are meeting with CJ Stroud. But who knows if this is even true or not? The Lions could be trying to push out fake reports to have everyone guessing what they're going to do next. But if it is true, I'm happy that it's CJ Stroud because out of the quarterbacks, CJ Stroud is my favorite from the draft class. Bryce Young would probably be my 2nd favorite, but I just don't like that he's 5'10". CJ Stroud, 6'3". And then my 3rd would be Anthony Richardson and then Will Levis. Out of the quarterbacks, the only one that I could see going to Detroit is CJ Stroud. But if the reports are true and the draft capital that Brad Holmes has built up, do the Lions trade up higher than their 6th pick? I know they said they probably won't, but do they? Or that's what they're trying to get people to think? Who knows what's going on? Obviously, it's just hypothetical. The Lions probably won't actually trade up higher than their 6th pick, but if they did, it'd most likely be with the Cardinals. The next thing is that with the recent trade, Lions fans are instantly, the Lions need a cornerback. They're taking a cornerback at 6 now, for sure. Well, the Lions are still gonna probably draft a corner in the 1st round. It's most likely not gonna be at their 6th pick because Will Anderson or Jalen Carter are going to be available when the Lions 6th pick rolls around, and when it does, they're gonna pick one. The Lions still need that run stop. They still need that defensive line pressure, and as you can see, the cornerback class is deep. The Lions could still get a solid corner at the 18th pick. Now, I would prefer Devon Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez out of the pack. Honestly, I'd want to have Devon Witherspoon if I could have any corner. That's my favorite. He's a stud. He's from Illinois. Kirby Joseph, also from Illinois. They played together in Illinois, so I think reuniting them would be a great idea. And Illinois just pumps out insane defensive backs. We saw how strong Kirby Joseph was last year. I think Devon Witherspoon would be just as good, if not better, and the chemistry's already there. It's a great idea. Some speculation is that the Lions will trade up with their 18th overall pick and try to steal Devon Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez, whatever one they like more, or whoever's available. Looking at the draft order, we know that the Panthers are going to take a quarterback, the Texans are going to take a quarterback, and the Colts are going to take a quarterback. So if the 3 that are taken are Will Levis, Richardson, and Bryce Young, that could potentially leave CJ Stroud for the Lions. Running through a mock draft, we have Bryce Young going to the Panthers, Will Levis going to the Texans, Devon Witherspoon going to the Cardinals. I think that's crazy. Richardson going to the Colts, Anderson going to the Seahawks. This leaves the Lions with CJ Stroud or Jalen Carter. Wow. Even though CJ Stroud is tempting, I think Carter's the obvious pick. Stroud would have to sit behind Goff for a few years, and Jalen Carter's the more prevalent need for the Lions. After I picked Carter and Witherspoon was already taken, Gonzalez was taken at 12, Banks was taken at 15, and Porter was taken at 16. And if this is how it goes down, this leaves the Lions with Brian Branch, Bijan Robinson, or Emmanuel Forbes, which are all solid picks. Even before the Lions traded away Jeff Okuda, I still think that defensive backs was still a top priority in the draft for the Lions. It seems like maybe the hype for CJ Gardner-Johnson, Mosley, Sutton, the big batch of defensive back signings kind of took away the thought of thinking about wanting a cornerback. I definitely fell victim to this too, but CJ Gardner-Johnson only signed with the Lions for 1 year. We don't know if they talked about re-signing him after this 1 year contract's up. We're not sure what they've already negotiated, but 100% for sure CJ Gardner-Johnson isn't a lock after this year. And Mosley only signed with the Lions for 1 year. Sutton was a 3-year deal, but after this year, we could potentially lose Mosley and Gardner-Johnson. Then we're all of a sudden needing a quarterback again in 2024. That's why I think cornerback or defensive back is a priority still in this draft. Another thing that's crazy about Brad Holmes trading away Jeff Okuda is that this is the third first-round pick that Brad Holmes has traded away since taking over just 2 years ago, and they were all top 10 picks as well. But to be clear, they're not Brad Holmes' first round picks, they're former picks from Fat Patricia and Quinn. So overall, I'm happy for Okuda. I hope he has a fresh start in Atlanta. I hope he plays really well. They need the secondary, and I wish him all the best because I liked him as a player in Detroit. It's sad it didn't work out. It's sad that Patricia had to fuck him. And back to my mock draft, the Lions get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter at 6, and then have potential Bijan Robinson at 18. I think the Lions take Bijan Robinson and in the second round go secondary. For fun, let's do one more mock draft. Now this I think would be the worst case scenario. Bryce Young goes to the Panthers, Will Levis goes to the Texans, Will Anderson goes to the Cardinals, and CJ Stroud goes to the Colts, and Jalen Carter goes to the Seahawks. Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are both off the board. It's kind of an L. However, the Lions have also come out and said they also really like Tyree Wilson. I like him as well. He's a great edge rusher. Now this again could be fake reports. The Lions could be bluffing. Do the Lions take Devon Witherspoon here or Tyree Wilson? Now this is a very plausible situation. Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are both off the board. The Lions pick comes up at 6. Who do they take? I think the best pick here is to take Devon Witherspoon. Then jumping to the Lions' 18th pick in the draft, Bijan Robinson's available. I'd say we take him. Also, back to the salary cap. Think about how much the Lions have already done this offseason and how much money they have. They have the third most money in the NFL. Like, look at the Minnesota Vikings. They have $1.4 million in cap space, while the Lions have over 20. The Lions have the draft capital and have the money to make a lot of moves. There's a lot of possible moves the Lions could make, and they've done a great job. Brad Holmes, the management, have done a great job at keeping their plan a secret. They're not letting anyone know what they're gonna do. They're keeping everyone guessing. Anything's plausible, and that's what you want from a management, because when people know what you're gonna do, sometimes they can mess it up or it gives them an edge. They're doing a great job. And if the Lions do end up getting Witherspoon in the draft, their secondary should be one of the best in the NFL. I think it's gonna be a deadly secondary. I also mentioned in the video where Marvin Jones signed to the Lions, I was like, did anyone call this? Well, Neil Ebner, he called it. March 23rd, he said, can't we just sign Marvin Jones to a 1-year deal for like 2 or 3 mil? He'll give us a deal, right? I'm sure. I'm so excited to have Marvin Jones back. I can't wait to watch him with Goff and J-Mo and St. Brown and Reynolds. After the Marvin Jones deal, this guy tweeted, can we bring back Golden Tate? And Golden Tate replied and said, I'm willing to give it another go. This happened a bit over a week ago. I just haven't talked about it yet, but does that make sense for Golden Tate to come back to Detroit? Is it possible? The Lions have the money, but do they need Golden Tate? They already have a lot of depth in that position. I don't know. I'd like to see it happen, but it probably won't happen. It's probably not the smartest move, but to bring back Marvin Jones and Golden Tate, that would just be the best. What's next? Megatron and Barry Sanders? And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is that there's a solid amount of talk about people wanting to trade Swift. I really like Swift. I think he's a stud. I think he's an insane playmaker. Him and Montgomery Montgomery's going to power through. Swift's going to make the plays. I think they're going to be a great duo. I don't like the idea of trading Swift. I want to keep Swift around. I know that his contract's going to be up soon. I hope the Lions would re-sign him. I don't think he's that injury prone. He is a little injury prone. I guess we'll see how injury prone is throughout this upcoming season, but I don't like the idea of trading Swift. Even if we draft Bijan Robinson, dude, we got 3 solid running backs in the backfield, and that's your ideal rotation, is it not? Bijan, Swift, and Montgomery? I don't know. I think my personal ideal draft would be to get Jalen Carter or Anderson at 6 and then take a corner at 18. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. If you guys enjoy my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. And once again, thanks for watching.